In this next example, we have a few examples that we want to talk about on what a function actually means. So if we take a look at this first one here, we want to determine whether this is a function. Okay, well, let's take a look at the names here. We have Maria, Alex, Matthew, Jennifer, and Sonia. And then we have a column that represents age, which is 20, 35, 48, 18, and 26. So we can call the first column either the input, or the value of x, or the domain. Whereas the second column is the output, which we can also call y, or the range. Okay, so let's say that we know that Maria is 18 years old. Okay, and we can say that Alex is 20. We can say that Matthew is 26. Jennifer is 35, and Sonia is 48. So again, we want to know, is this a function or not? Well, it is a function, and the reason why is because each particular name has one output, meaning one age. So therefore, this is a function. This will be considered yes. Okay, now let's take a look at this example over here. So let's use the same information. Okay, so again, let's say that Sonia, again, is 48. We know that Jennifer is 35. We know that Matthew, again, is 26. And Alex is 20. And we know that Maria is 18. Okay, it's the same thing that we just did in the first example. Now, let's take a look at Maria. Okay, so Maria is 18. Now, if I draw an arrow to 20, what does that mean? That means Maria is two ages. That means she's 20 and 18. Well, that's impossible. So that should tell you that one input has to go to exactly one output. So looking at this scenario, this is not a function. Okay, now let's move down to, let's talk about a vending machine. Now, when we talk about a vending machine, you know, if you want to get like Skittles, chips, whatever the case may be, okay, we can call the input is the money that we put in. So if we put in, let's say, $1, that represents the input. Okay, and let's say that we want to get Skittles. Well, that Skittles that we get out is going to be the output. Okay, and this machine is a function machine. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here. All right, so when you go to a vending machine, you select which option that you want to select. So let's say that, you know, for $1, we're going to select D4, and then it's going to give us pretzels as the output. And then in our second option, we're going to pick another $1, but we're going to select C2. So C2 is now going to be a different input selection that's going to give us chips. Okay, so if we take a look at this, D4 gives us pretzels. C2 gives us chips. So again, this represents a function. So yes, this is a function because you have one input going to one output. Now over here, if we have D3, that gives us pretzels, and D4 gives us pretzels, and then C2 gives us chips. Well, there can be more than one input that correspond to the same output. So this is also still a function because you have one input going to exactly one output. Okay, now when we look at this scenario here, okay, if we have D4, right, that's an input and it gives us pretzels. Whereas C2 is going to give us chips and it also gives us a water bottle. Well, that means one input is given two outputs. So therefore, this would not be a function. Okay, now again, we know that the domain is the set of all input values, and we can also call them x. And then the range is the set of all output values, which is y. So in our example, the domain was the selections on the key that we would select. D3, D4, and C2 would be our domain. And then the range is what we get for the output, meaning pretzels or chips.